Hello, hello, hi, and welcome to another episode of Nubian Kings 144 channel. I'm your host, Ahmenu Sage, the highly intellectual, and today I want to speak about a download, a universal download that I got. Well, I got many downloads the other day. It was just pouring in, it came flooding in, one after the other. But some of them I couldn't remember, and unfortunately I didn't record myself when I was going into my download, so some of the information is lost, but I remember the main parts anyway. And what I wanted to talk about was one of the downloads I had, which was to do with the ability to manipulate our environment around us. And so I wanted to talk about that. And the other one was and also I wanted to talk about an ancient power which our people possess as black people, or should I say as Nubian would say, bright people, which is relates back to thousands and thousands of years, which our people was practicing to a high degree, and the masters of it was one of our initial abilities. And it coincides with what I wanted to talk about previously, which was the environment and how to manipulate the environment. And so it's all connected. So, and that is chanting. Our people used to chant back in ancient times in Africa, Brazil, Americas, wherever you go. Our people would chant. You'll see videos of our people in tribal outfits and uniforms, and they'd be chanting, you know, and they'd be doing dancing, some sort of tribal dance, whilst chanting something, whether it was to make it rain, or to bring food, or to bring good karma, or whatever it was, or even to move objects. They would chant. And so that was the second subject I wanted to talk about. So without further ado, we're going to get into this discussion. We're listening to Ahmenu Sage, and I'm going to be discussing how to manipulate the environment and the ancient ability that has been dormant within our people for centuries. So let's get started. Now, our environment has great depth to it, great ingenuity to it. And also has codes and keys which can be influenced and upgraded and altered using certain techniques. Now, is it not true, that there is a devil and God? There is a devil and God, so we're not going to debate whether that's true or not. So there is a devil and a God, and as some of the ancient masters have found out and leaked information, that the devil, he likes to manipulate people. Now, bearing in mind the devil likes to manipulate people, and God likes to control planets and everything and all life within the planet and nature. And if you notice here, what do the demons do? The demons, they control technology. They have the ability to manipulate technology or anything that's man-made. So I figured out to myself, if the demons can manipulate anything that's man-made or anything that's created by a man, they can manipulate and influence it, shape it and mold it, then God's people must be able to manipulate anything that's made by the world, made by God. So if God's people can manipulate anything that's made by God, which was my theory at the time, and before I managed to do what I'm about to tell you that I did, I come to the conclusion that they must be able to manipulate the clouds, the air, the animals, you know, the trees, the birds, the bees, anything that's created by God. They must be able to manipulate to some high degree and influence anything that is controlled by the planet. They can manipulate, and that's bearing in mind that God, the devil, likes to manipulate people. He likes to control the minds of people. And demons can control anything that's made by man, such as phones, laptops, tablets, computer consoles, all of that stuff. They have the ability to manipulate and influence. And that's fact. So, so it became apparent to me that God's people must be able to manipulate the planets and the stars and the moon and the sky and the clouds and this sort of thing. So after coming to that epiphany and that realization, I then began to think to myself, what if I could control an element or control something that was made by God? So I thought to myself, I've just been recently studying mudras, ancient hand mudras and shinobi mudras. And well, not recently, but I started diving back into it recently a bit more than what I usually do. And it came to me, an ancient mudra, an ancient long forgotten lost mudra. And I'm not going to leak this information of how the mudra, the formation of my fingers, but I will tell you briefly about mudras. The mudras are based off 5 elements. That is, normal Asiatic mudras are based off 5 elements. The little finger being water, the finger beside it being earth, the middle finger being space. And the reason why the middle finger is space, because if you notice, it's longer than the other fingers. So that is space. The finger beside it is air. And the other finger beside that, the thumb, is fire. So to cut a long story short, I made one hand with water, space, and air. And I made the other hand with water, earth, and air. And I lightened one hand and powered up the other hand, and raised the light hand with the space, water, and air into the air, and my other hand downwards, so like a normal Buddhist pose position. And I focused. I closed my eyes and I powered up, channeled my chi through my fingers, while I was putting them in the correct position. And while I did that, I imagined a thunderstorm, and I imagined a violent thunderstorm with lots of heavy rain and like water just dripping down onto the earth, and like lots of water. I imagined it really wet, and at the time it was a hot sunny day. This was like a few days ago, so at the time it was a sunny day, the sun was shining, there was no signs of that it was going to rain. And I said, watch this, I'm going to make it rain. And I did the mudra that I told you just now, and I focused on it and channeled my energy through it. At this time I added an element that I had not thought to add before, and it all became because of my name, Ahmenu. In my name, Ahmenu, it has the phrase which is the frequency of the universe. I'm not going to get into the Enu part because you know that part of my name, but yeah, from that my name, I thought to myself, let me chant the frequency of the universe whilst doing that mudra, and whilst thinking of the rain and thunderstorms. I chanted for about 2-3 minutes with everything that I had. Then I waited patiently and said, look, it's going to rain, I know it's going to rain. My God, people, if you ever did see it, it started to rain. It started to rain, tiny little drops of rain, and then it started getting heavier. And my house is haunted. There's like demons in my home and ghosts and all sorts of beings in my home, and I could hear them saying in telepathy, he just made it rain, he just made it rain. And yeah, so I made it rain using that technique. And all of that came because of the fact that, of the download that I got, that everything that is created by by man, the devil controls, and everything that's created by God, we have the ability to control. So I took that theory and I put it into practice, and it paid off. I managed to make it rain for the first time in my life, and I'm reaching a higher level of spirituality and soul ability, because that ability was the ability of the soul. It wasn't no spiritual ability, it was an ability of the soul, and I used soul power to implicate it into my my mudra. So yeah, so even now, like it doesn't seem real, man. It doesn't seem real. So I then tried to do the mudra again on another separate day, and the same result, it started raining again. So yeah, I have basically uncovered an ancient mudra that is not in the mudras that you see and the teachers on YouTube. And the rain part came to me when I thought of the 9 spells, because in Shinobi mudras they have the 9 spells of elements, the 9 elements, which are 9 spells, and rain and lightning is one of them. And in order to do the Shinobi mudra, you have to imagine lightning. So I imagined it, and yeah, so I was able to make it rain. And it's overwhelming, man. It's overwhelming. Doing something like that, it can get to your head. If you're not careful, it can get to your head in ways that will make you very boastful. So I tried to be as humble as I could about it, you know what I mean, and not rub it in anybody's faces, or I tried to be as humble as I could. You know, I did show off a little bit, but you know, yeah, so yeah, that was one of the things that I want to talk about. Basically, just to let people know that if you are of God, you have the ability to manipulate anything that is of God. Whether it's the birds, the bees, the trees, the waters, the rivers, the clouds, the rain, lightning, even fire from the skies, wind, anything like that. The earth, what's inside the earth. You have the ability to manipulate and control these things. So just bear in mind that the devil, he controls anything that's man-made. He can control anything that's man-made, or that's made by men. If you notice that it's true, he has to control anything that's made by men. So his people can control anything that's made by men. But we as God's people, the reason why we're not being as successful as we could be at fighting the devil is because we're not using the tools that God laid out before us in order to fight efficiently. So yeah, just remember, if you are of God, a son of God or a daughter of God, you have the ability to manipulate and control anything that is God made. Now the second thing I wanted to talk about just briefly, just for a little while, is that the chanting and the history of chanting. Not the history of chanting, but I wanted to talk about chanting. Now chanting has been a part of the black community and other ethnic and original races upon the planet for centuries. People would chant for rain, people would chant for food, people would chant for a good harvest, people would chant when they wanted to move something. And I, for the longest time, I've been holding this back, and I wanted to tell my black people, bright people, that our ability, one of our main abilities is in chanting. Now, I wanted to add this knowledge to see if I could get in contact with Nubin Menkaras, the great grandmaster teacher of the Mentalians, just to let him know that some of this reconnection to Amen that we may have to do may involve something to do with chanting, some sort of chanting, where we link up our hands together and we come together as a collective. We have to chant something, and I don't know if it's the frequency of the universe. Could be that, could be anything, but I know there's something that we'll have to chant in order to bring this change of energy over the planet and reconnect with our ancestors across the universe. So I know that chanting is definitely something I'm going to start looking into and diving more into, spending a bit more effort on. Not just chanting verbally, but written chants as well. Written chants could be very powerful, aka pages. Some people write pages to help manifest things in their life, for protection, for all sorts of purposes. So that is a form of chanting as well. So, and it'd just be like you write something on a piece of paper, and you just read it, you keep on reading it, or you leave it up there, and you keep on reading it. This brings it to life and adds power to it. And so yeah, I wasn't able to actually complete the rain mudra without chanting the frequency of the universe. So upon chanting the frequency of the universe, it added a power frequency element to the chant that I was chanting and to the mudra that I was using, and infused it and gave it power, thus being able to make it rain. So yeah, I'm Ahmenu Sage, and I made it rain the other day. And this is just the beginning of my powers and our people's powers and upgrades. When the solar eclipse hit the other day, it was a couple of days after the solar eclipse hit the other day that I made it rain. And I noticed a shift in my energies. I felt lighter, like a load of stress or something had just been lifted off of me. And when that solar eclipse hit the other day, I felt like my body had been upgraded. My mind was moving at 1,000,000 miles per hour. This is how fast my mind was moving. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable, but I've never felt such power surging through my body. I could feel it, and all this information was just coming to me in chunks and chunks and chunks. And I really wish that I recorded myself talking, because a lot of the stuff that I had to say was very powerful. And so next time that happens, I will be recording myself. Even if I don't have the equipment set up at the time, I'll just record it through my phone and later patch it through my studio software. So, but yeah, I just wanted to bring that information to you about what God's people are capable of and what the devil's people are capable of, and how to manipulate those energies. So I do want to talk a little bit more, so I will talk a little bit more. Yeah, so in order to manipulate the energy around you, the environment around you, you first have to think like that what's around you. If you're trying to manipulate the water, you have to think like water. You have to put all your thoughts into water and become like spiritually like the water and soulfully like the water. And then if you add the mudra, wind, and if you add the mudra, wind, you can probably manipulate the direction of the water that it flows in. If you wanted to heat up your environment, you would do the fire mudra, which would be space, air, and fire, which would be the thumb, the index finger, and the middle finger together, with the two other little fingers extended outwards. That would that would heat up the air around you, making it warmer, and heat up your body as well. which is similar, which is the opposite of the Prana mudra. But yeah, so I'm not going to get too much into this subject. I just wanted to talk briefly in it to let you know what I went through a couple of days, because that is it's not normal. What's happening to me is not normal, and I feel like myself. I'm changing. I don't know what I'm changing into, but I feel different. Each as the months go by, I feel different, like more powerful, and my capabilities are getting more powerful. I noticed that I can speak with people far distance. I can have far distance conversations, and I can hone in on conversations that are far away. The other day, I honed in on my mum talking about me to somebody else, and she was like miles away from me, so I could hear her clearly talking. And I honed in on a friend who I thought was a friend talking about me, and found out that he's not a friend. So these powers that I'm gaining, this new strength that I'm gaining, it's like I'm evolving. And I know that God's people are evolving at the moment, and the black race are evolving, and they are doing everything they can, the government, to stop your evolution, to prevent your evolution, to prevent you from growing mentally and physically. They're doing everything, scaring you so you have to stay in your homes. They don't want us out there walking up and down and going about, because they want to claim everything that we built. And that's another thing. I know that this is totally irrelevant to this video, but watch out for shape-shifting people, because these people will try to take everything that you've got and live your life. So yeah, just had to bring that out there. But yeah, so you've been listening to the Nubian Kings 144 channel. I'm your host, Ahmenu Sage, and today's episode was about how to manipulate your environment, and the power of chanting. So yeah, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the video, give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.